You know, when you think about kids getting into trouble, you probably picture something kind of old-fashioned, right? Stealing cookies, skipping school, that sort of thing. But what if that mischief could actually crash the stock market or leak top-secret government files? Well, in the digital age, the game has totally changed. The stakes are way higher, the tools are incredibly powerful, and the consequences, they can be global.
I mean, this really puts it all into perspective, doesn't it? We've gone from harmless little pranks to teenagers who can cause billions of dollars in damage or leak sensitive national security data, all from the comfort of their bedrooms. These aren't just pranks anymore. They're serious high-level felonies. And they're being committed by kids who often have no real grasp of the chaos they're unleashing on the real world.
So in this explainer, we're going to dive deep into this new world of cybercrime through 3 pretty incredible case studies. We'll look at the boy who basically broke e-commerce, the kid who hacked humans, and the hacker who couldn't be stopped even in a hotel room. And then we're going to try to answer the big question. Are these kids geniuses, or are they a menace?
Okay, let's be super clear about something. The kids we're about to talk about aren't your typical bad kids. In a lot of ways, they're actual prodigies. They have this exceptional, almost unbelievable talent with computers. But when you mix that talent with the anonymity of the internet and a deep-seated desire for recognition, well, you get a perfect storm for some of the most shocking crimes of our digital era.
All right, our first case takes us all the way back to the year 2000. Let's meet a 15-year-old from Montreal named Michael Kelsey. But online, he was better known by his handle, Mafia Boy. This was a time when the internet was just starting to become a huge commercial thing, and Michael, he wanted to make a big name for himself in the underground hacker community.
And this quote from him, it really says it all. For Mafia Boy, this wasn't about money, not at all. It was about the adventure, the exploration. It was about earning respect on the hacker forums he was obsessed with. He just wanted to push the limits and see what was possible. So how did he do it?
He used what's called a distributed denial of service attack, or DDoS for short. Now think of it like this. It's a brute force method. He secretly took control of computer networks at a bunch of universities, building himself a kind of digital zombie army. Then he pointed that army at a website and told it to send a massive, overwhelming flood of junk traffic to its front door. The website server gets so busy trying to sort through all the fake requests that it can't handle any real visitors, and the whole thing just collapses.
And just look at the sheer audacity of his targets. He didn't pick some small, unknown website. Nope, he went straight for the giants. He started with Yahoo, which was basically the Google of its day, and then, one by one, he systematically took down the biggest names in e-commerce and news. They all just went dark.
The impact was immediate, and it was staggering. In just 1 week, his hacking spree caused an estimated $1.7 billion in damages. He effectively brought the brand new world of e-commerce to a grinding halt. The panic was so real that even President Bill Clinton had to address the nation about it, and a massive manhunt was launched.
So what brought this kid down? Well, ironically, it was the very thing he was after in the first place: fame. Mafia Boy just couldn't resist bragging about what he'd done in all those hacker chat rooms, and that boasting created a digital breadcrumb trail that the FBI and the Canadian police followed right to his house. For all that chaos, he was sentenced to just 8 months in a youth detention center.
Okay, so we've seen a brute force attack. Now, let's shift gears to something a little more subtle, and maybe even a little more sinister. In 2015, a 15-year-old from the UK named Kane Gamble showed the world that you don't actually need to crash servers to cause chaos. Sometimes, all you have to do is manipulate the people who run them.
He was a master of something called social engineering. And this is a really important concept to grasp. It's all based on the idea that the weakest link in any security system isn't the complex firewall or the fancy encryption. It's the person on the other end of the phone. And Kane Gamble was an absolute genius at exploiting that human element.
And this is where the story gets truly chilling. To get into the personal email of John Brennan, we're talking about the director of the CIA. He didn't use some crazy complex code. He just called AOL support. He pretended to be Brennan, used information he found publicly online to answer a few basic security questions, and just like that, he convinced the support agent to reset the password. A teenager now had the keys to one of the most powerful men in America's digital life.
And he didn't stop there. From that point, he escalated things dramatically. He went on to hack into FBI systems and leaked the personal details of 20,000 FBI employees. He absolutely knew he was putting people's lives at risk. He even bragged about it online, calling it the biggest hack ever.
It's a scary reminder that sometimes hacking humans is far more dangerous than hacking machines. And that brings us to our final and most recent case, Arian Kurtaj, a key member of the hacking group Lapsus S. His story is maybe the most brazen of them all. It shows a level of sheer determination that is, well, it's almost unbelievable.
So, as part of this notorious group, Lapsus, Kurtaj was involved in a whole series of high-profile data thefts and ransom attacks. They hit massive companies like NVIDIA and Uber, causing something like $10 million in damages. Eventually, he was caught and arrested. But for Arian Kurtaj, getting caught was really just the beginning of the story.
So, let me just ask you a question. Imagine you're a teenage hacker. You've just been arrested, the police have confiscated your laptop, and they've put you under guard in a hotel room, actually for your own protection. What do you do next? You'll lay low, right? Maybe reflect on your life choices? Yeah, that's not what Arian Kurtaj did.
No, he looked around his hotel room and he didn't see a prison. He saw a brand new computer. And this was his toolkit. Using just the TV in the hotel, an Amazon Fire Stick, his smartphone, and a keyboard and mouse, he built himself a brand new hacking rig right under the noses of the police who were supposed to be watching him.
And with this makeshift setup, he pulled off his biggest hack ever. He broke into the servers of Rockstar Games, stole the source code for Grand Theft Auto 6, one of the most anticipated video games in history, and then leaked a ton of gameplay footage online. It sent the entire gaming world into a total frenzy. This final act of defiance landed him an indefinite sentence in a secure hospital.
So, 3 teenagers, 3 very different methods, but all with absolutely massive consequences. Now let's try to connect the dots and see what themes start to pop up from these incredible stories.
This table really lays it all out pretty clearly. They were all teenagers when they committed their biggest crimes, but you can see how their methods evolved. Kelsey used brute force, Gamble used manipulation, and Kurtaj used sophisticated data theft. And notice how the sentences get progressively more severe? That's a pretty clear sign that the world is taking these so-called pranks more and more seriously.
So what does this all tell us? Well, you start to see a common pattern emerge. There's this incredible thrill they get from the challenge, a serious disconnect from the real-world harm they're causing, and this razor-thin line between being a genius and being a criminal. It really seems like for these kids, it was all just a game being played on a screen. But the consequences, they were all too real.
And that leaves us with a really tough final question, doesn't it? When a kid's curiosity and their raw talent can lead to such catastrophic results, what does that say about the digital world we've built? Is it all on the individual, the tools they have easy access to, or is it on the society that maybe fails to channel that kind of genius into something more constructive? That's definitely something to think about.